Week 3 in the NFL, and if you're trying to win $1 million playing on DraftKings Fantasy Million, you're going to need some bargain buys and low-owned players. Luckily, we have SI fantasy analysts Michael Fabiano and Ben Heisler here to talk about those two very same subjects. Fabs, I'm going to start with you. Your bargain buys, they've been on the money. Who you're looking at for Week 3?
I like Ryan Tannehill. This guy is Rodney Dangerfield, man. He gets no respect from the fantasy community. Since Week 8 of last year, he's the QB3, guys. I mean, that is impressive. Last week, almost 27 fantasy points. He's at $5,900 this week on DraftKings against Minnesota. They got bombarded by Aaron Rodgers in Week 1. They've given up over 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks this season. So Ryan Tannehill is a very nice play. So is Mike Davis at $5,100. He's the new starter in Carolina. We all know Christian McCaffrey is out on injured reserve for 4 to 6 weeks. So Davis was a hot ad off the waiver wire in regular fantasy football leagues. And we also know that this guy can be utilized as a pass catcher. Last week, when the Panthers had to try and throw the football to erase a deficit, Davis was targeted 8 times, and he caught all 8 passes. He's a veteran who can come in and be a very nice bargain. And then CeeDee Lamb. How about them Cowboys, right? I don't know if we're going to beat the Seahawks, and I say we because I'm a huge fan. Look at the matchup, though. Seattle has been getting gashed by slot receivers this season. In fact, in Week 1, Russell Gage, monster stat line. Last week, Julian Edelman, monster stat line. And Lamb has run about 30 routes per game out of the slot. So he is a very nice play at $5,400. And that's not me being a Cowboys homer, guys.
CeeDee Lamb taking action in that DraftKings highest over-under of the week, 55.5 points for the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Ben, let me go over to you. Low ownership, right? We have to separate ourselves from the masses. Who are you looking at that's not going to be highly owned?
Let's start at the quarterback spot, guys, and go with Carson Wentz. Now, that might scare a few of you away. You've seen Carson Wentz be very mediocre the first couple weeks of the season, and he hasn't been great because he hasn't had any time to throw. There have been enormous amounts of pressure. He's given up 8 sacks so far. He's thrown 4 interceptions. That changes this week against Cincinnati. The Bengals are one of the worst teams in the league at rushing the passer, only 2 sacks on the season. And so I think Wentz now having some time to throw will actually be able to be in a really nice spot. Deshaun Jackson could be an option to pair him up with if you want to stack him with some of those tight ends, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. I think Wentz is the nice pivot for the Eagles, considering how popular somebody like Miles Sanders is likely to be in their matchup in Week 3 against Cincinnati. At the running back spot, how about Melvin Gordon? $5,800 on DraftKings, and it's a difficult matchup against Tampa Bay. The Bucs defense, especially against stopping the run, has been solid, but where they actually have some flaws is stopping pass-catching running backs. They're in the bottom 5 in that category. Gordon just has to get more involved in the passing game, and especially with Phillip Lindsay dealing with some injuries, I think Gordon could see himself involved. Remember, Denver's dealing with all sorts of injuries at the quarterback spot with Drew Lock, at the wide receiver spot with Cortland Sutton. They need their best offensive player, which at this point is Melvin Gordon, to be a huge part of the game plan. And then lastly, at the wide receiver spot, Darius Slayton, $4,900 on DraftKings, another low ownership play with big upside and potential. The thing is, nobody wants to play Giants right now. It's pretty understandable as to why. They've looked awful on the offensive side of the ball, but it's a matchup. If you've ever wanted to play San Francisco, now's the time to do it, considering all the injuries that they're facing. They're going back to the field that knocked out about half their team over at MetLife Stadium. And Slayton, especially with no pass rush coming from the 49ers side, Daniel Jones will have some time to throw and have opportunities to take some deep shots. So for only $4,900, with that type of big play potential against the 49ers defense and offense that's just completely reeling right now, I think Darius Slayton is in a terrific low ownership spot to have a monster game in Week 3.
Ben and Fabs, excellent analysis. Love all of these picks. For more DFS advice for Week 3, you got to get that membership to SI Fantasy Pro. It's only $19.99 a month. Go to si.com/gambling for more details.